show you three things. First of all, why liberal countries should take care of rights of every individual. Some of them include the freedom of movement. Some of them include personal autonomy. But we'll explain why in this case of choosing where to live, this should become a positive right and not only a negative right as it is today. Therefore, governments should pay money for it. Secondly, we're going to show why this is a form of compensation, meaning that if it is the government's fault, like say by OO, the government should at least give you money to emigrate, which it doesn't do today, so already better. Third, we're going to show you why this is analogous to insurance companies that see that there is less cost into making you leave than the cost for the other people that would remain. Therefore, if the government has the duty to take care of its citizens, so it would give more to the citizens that are remaining, therefore doing a better job as a country. First, rebuttal. So we got the idea of now there would be incentives for countries to be racist and make people leave. First of all, these are liberal countries. We don't think that it is likely to happen in them. Note the case in Britain where you had people on the beach with burkinis and other citizens helping them out, telling the police, no, you cannot strip on the beach because this is not the right thing to do. And you can sue the government if it does things that are not liberal. But if we are talking about countries that become less liberal, maybe like Hungary, or maybe if the Golden Dome rises in Greece, then we say that in those countries, they would do so under the EU as well, regardless of the mechanism, because they want those people out, and they can still do that because in the EU, you can make people move, and you just make their life such a hell that they would not return, even if it's not permanent. So this exists in both worlds. What they're saying, that if this exists already, at least you should give them money in order for them now to have a better life, and not to be in a situation where you might be a gay person in a conservative country and have nowhere to go because you don't have the money to take you out of that country. So in our world, it is better. Leslie, Kalina tells us, oh, but there would be people that won't have the ability to succeed in the day after. This is a huge problem. Notice that if you are unemployed, then you would be unemployed in both scenarios, but at least in our world, you get to choose to be unemployed in a place that you like, with people that you like, and a weather that you find to be better. So we think that this is at least good, and also there are at least more chances of you to succeeding because the state isn't always evil. I don't think Spain has 25% of youth unemployment because it's such an evil country, but it cannot fix it overnight. And considering that situation of structural unemployment, at least you have more chances of choosing where you have the ability to succeed, especially in liberal countries where you are more likely to have a degree, meaning that at least you have more of an ability to take care of yourself. Then they ask us, oh, but why permanent and so on, and talk about the fact that it's not a choice to stay. Here we think that this is actually something that makes your choice a more valid one. Why? Because people can be tempted by the short-term crisis if they don't have the permanent, meaning there are more chances of having brain drain if you know that you can come back, if you know that this changes nothing. Therefore, you would hurt your country more, or at least be blinded by the fact that you have this something calling you. We say that the moment this not just the immediate one, therefore more freedom on our side. So actually, we are preventing a case of abuse of the system by making this permanent, because we won't have people just jumping off the wagon if they don't like it, like maybe Catalonia just deciding, yeah, we don't like the other Spanish people, we don't want to pay for them. So we think that it's more balanced. If you really want it, you'll do that. If not, no. Okay, now let's talk about rights. So we think already today, we got a concession from Scott saying that we don't have a problem with the EU, we just have a problem with the permanent, meaning that they accept that freedom of movement is important. They accept that this is a good thing. Now we say that freedom of movement is especially important when choosing to live your life and the ability to shape who you are, who your friends are, and so on. This also has to do with your personal autonomy and the defining of your identity, and so on. Now, usually we say that this is a negative right, but we say that to the point where this becomes discriminatory in a laissez-faire situation, where the country does not intervene, then it should become a positive right. Now, why is it discriminatory in status quo? Because you become dependent on your money. Because countries in status quo would accept you only if you meet certain criteria which are arbitrary and don't really have to do with who you are, just by the fact that you're able to pay. So maybe someone would go, but other won't, or your family couldn't go, and so on. We say that at this point, especially liberal countries should be the ones to help you to equal the playing field and to ensure that this right is met equally by everyone living in those liberal states. Therefore, it should happen. Next point, as I've already mentioned in the rebuttal, we think that if the state is responsible for creating the reasons or conditions that make you stay, it should give you the money to leave. And we think that this is something that we accept in every kind of legal situation. We think, especially in liberal countries, that if created a situation that is so bad for you that you want to leave and you're willing to permanently forego your ability, then it should. And then these are the cases where we save the Jewish man that simply couldn't run away before it got too late in the country that is turning less liberal or that it doesn't have a place for him. We think it's good. Before I move on to the next point.
Okay, so you should also allow the poor people to leave, but you shouldn't allow the poor people to return?
We think that if you make the choice to leave, then yes, it means that you don't want to be part of us. I don't understand why this is important. Okay, so now let's talk about costs. So we think that the people that would want to leave, if they stay, not only would they feel bad like we hear from opening, but actually they would harm society back. What does it mean? It means that they are likely not to pay taxes. It means that they are likely to go into crime. It means that they are likely to try and change society in a way that is probably more extreme than everyone is willing to accept. We say that in our world it would cost less to make them leave than to deal with the damages that they would create to the entire system as a whole. Also, there are good things into them leaving. So if we have structural unemployment, probably it costs less than paying them the unemployment wager, which you cannot as a state, than simply paying them to go. We say that in terms of that, the costs would now become less on the other citizens that stay, meaning you can provide more, you can improve their situation. We call it